ॐ गणानां त्वा गणपतिगुं हवामहे कविं कवीनाम् उपमश्रवस्तमं ज्येष्ठराजं ब्रह्मणस्पत आनः शृण्वन्नोतिभिक्षीदसादनं प्रणो देवी सरस्वती वाजेभिर्वाजिनीवती दीनामवित्रगवतो गणेशाय नमः सरस्वत्यै नमः श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरः ॐ श्रीमहागणाधिपतये नमः सदाशिवसमारम्भां श्रीकण्ठाराध्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां सदाशिवं शिवां स्कन्दं केशवं पद्मसम्भवं नन्दीश्वरं कुम्भयोनिं भरद्वाजात्रिगौतमान् नमोऽस्तु गुरवे नित्यं श्रीकण्ठशिवयोगिने श्रुतिसारशिवविशिष्टाद्वैत परभाष्यविदायिने जगद्गुरु श्रीरेणुकाचार्य मङ्गलं देहि प्रभो सांब शिवाय नमः सांब शिवाय नमः सांब शिवाय नमः. In my previous lectures, I have spoken a lot about Shiva Paratvam, how Shiva is the essence of the Vedas and Upanishads, and prapatti or surrender should be done only to Mahadeva to attain that immortal state, to get relieved from the repeated cycles of birth and death. So today I wanted to a little bit focus on, I'll be touching on the Sutta Samhita Atharvashiras Upanishad, and how actually Atharvashiras Upanishad is very well connected to Shaivism, and how it talks about the glories of Lord Shiva alone. And I'll also be giving the Upabrahmanams. But before that, I'll be providing knowledge on what is the importance of human life. There is a verse from one of the Puranas, Jalaja Navalakshani Stavara Lakshavimshati Krimayo Ekadasha Lakshani Pakshinam Dasha Lakshanam Trimshal Lakshani Pashavaha Chatur Lakshani Manushaha. Describes by Brahma's creation there are 8.4 million species, that is 84 lakh species have been created from Brahma's creation, and 9 lakh of them belong to water-based Jalaja, and then 20 lakh of them belong to the plants and trees. 20 million species are there among the plants and trees, and then 11 million, that is 11 lakh species are there among the reptiles, and among the birds there are 10 lakh species of birds present. And among the terrestrial animals, you see mammals and different kinds of animals, right? There are 30 lakh species of animals. And there are 4 lakh species, Chatur Lakshani Manushaha, 4 lakh species of humans. In different planets also, there are different varieties of humans available. And there are human-like animals also. So, it is described how important is this human life. All the other species that we saw, the water-based, the plants and trees, reptiles, birds, terrestrial animals, all of them are given only 5 senses. Only the human is given the 6th sense. The 6th sense is to understand the supreme reality, and that's why the 6th sense is given to human alone. The questioning, Atato Brahma Jignasa, who am I? Who is the supreme reality? And what is my relationship with the Supreme? In order to question, in order to do that questioning, that's the reason the human life is given to. And the human life is not an ordinary thing. After crossing all these species of lives, the water-based plants and trees and reptiles and birds and terrestrial animals, then one gets a chance to, one gets a chance of acquiring a human body. And it also describes Shiva Gita and various other places. It describes after doing crores and crores of punyas, being in the human body, one gets a chance to engage in Shiva Bhakti. So Shiva Bhakti is the most it is very rarest of all. In human life, we are always behind name, fame, wealth, knowledge, beauty, and power. But whatever we go behind in this human life, everything is temporary. We try to acquire fame, that is not actually permanent, that is temporary. And we try to acquire a name, that is temporary. Even if you become Mukesh Ambani is one of the richest persons in the world, right? But still, can he take the money at the end of his life? No. the wealth that you gain is temporary. The knowledge, the material knowledge, the worldly knowledge that you gain is temporary. Beauty, how long the beauty is going to last, that is also temporary. Power is also temporary. When you are on the deathbed, uh, so that's when you see that's when you realize all these things are temporary. So that the possessions that you have, we say this is mine, uh, uh, so this house is mine and this belongs to me, but the possessions are temporary. Even the relationships are temporary. The relationships that we have in this world, the mother-father relationship and even the husband-wife relationship, it doesn't long last. It is not eternal. It is temporary. The human life, the world itself is temporary. So, who is that ultimate reality? So, that's where our Vedas describe that Samba Shiva Chandrasekhara Neelakanta, he alone needs to be, he alone is the ultimate reality who is eternal. Everything, from the blade of grass till Vishnu, everything is temporary. But that Samba Shiva alone is permanent, who doesn't have a change. Crores and crores of Brahmas, Vishnus, and Indras come and go, but Mahadeva alone is eternal. And the relationship with him, we saw the relationships are temporary. The relationship with Mahadeva alone is permanent. And we saw different examples of like how we can engage in bhakti towards Mahadeva. In Shanta Bhavam, where we just meditate on Mahadeva, there is no service. And then we engage in Dasya Bhavam. Dasya means considering yourself to be the servant of Mahadeva. We have examples of Nandi, Bringi, Mahakala, and many other Ganas, Shiva Ganas, engaging in Dasya Bhavam. I am the servant of him, Manikya also. And Sakya Bhavam, considering yourself to be the friend of Mahadeva. Vatsalya, considering Mahadeva to be your own child. Example of Beja Mahadevi is there. And Madhura Bhavam, where you engage in considering yourself to be the consort of Mahadeva. Considering yourself to be a woman and considering yourself to be a consort of Mahadeva and engaging with him in Madhura Bhavam. And Virya Bhavam, we have Rudra Pashupati Nayanar commanding Mahadeva with his unflinching, unadulterated love. So, different kind of relationships we can have with Mahadeva, but that every soul, every individual soul has an eternal relationship with Mahadeva alone and not with anyone else. It is practical. You can see in this world how it is temporary. Whatever relationships that we have in this world is temporary. Even if someone aspires for Swarga, Kshine Punye Martya Lokam Vishanti, even if he becomes Indra also, it is not eternal. Even if he becomes Brahma, even that Padam is not eternal. Even if he becomes Vishnu, that is also not eternal. That's why a true Shiva Bhakta is not interested in even becoming Indra, Brahma or Vishnu. In Siddhanta Shikamani, it describes the 9th chapter, 2nd verse, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Shambhoho, Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atmanivedanam. Shravanam, by hearing. How that actually bhakti arises. Bhakti is the only way that Mahadeva gets attracted to. We saw that. He cannot be conquered. He is Anishvara. He is Anishvara, the one who doesn't have a Lord. How to conquer him? Only through bhakti. Bhakti is the only way, prapatti or surrender is the only way to attain his feet and get relieved from the repeated cycles of birth and death. And this 9 ways, our dear Jagadguru Renukacharya has given 9 ways to attain Mahadeva. Shravanam, by hearing about Lord Shiva, by hearing Shiva Katha. Kirtanam, doing Shivanama Sankirtanam. Shambhoho, of that personality, Shambhu. Smaranam, doing meditating on that Mahadeva and Parashakti. And then Smaranam, Pada Sevanam, doing serving his feet. That feet which even Brahma and Vishnu are searching for, serving that feet. Pada Sevanam, Archanam. Archanam means doing Archana. And then Vandanam, offering obeisances. Dasyam, considering yourself to be a servant of Mahadeva. Sakyam Atma Nivedanam, considering yourself to be a friend, and then complete Atma Nivedanam is complete Samarpanam to Mahadeva. So, and every individual soul, if you see, there is an independence. So, for example, you have, there is a festival, there is a Shivaratri festival that is coming up. It is there is an independent, that individual soul has an independence, whether he wants to worship Mahadeva or whether he wants to insult Mahadeva or whether he wants to ignore Mahadeva. We see Daksha utilized his independence in insulting Mahadeva, and finally we know what happened to him. Like that, Mahadeva is waiting for that Pashu. We are all Jiva. The Jiva, oh, this Jiva will look back to me at one point in time. And that's why in Mundaka Upanishad it describes there are two people, the Jivatma and Paramatma in the heart. The Jivatma is enjoying everything, but it doesn't look at the Paramashiva. Paramashiva is watching, he is present as a witness, he is watching everything, whatever the Jivatma does. We are the Jivatmas. But the Jivatma is completely ignoring that Paramatma. And then it uses it, it runs through it, it undergoes all the changes. From the kid, it becomes an adolescent, and from adolescent age, it becomes, it attains the old age. All this is being watched by Mahadeva. But the Jivatma doesn't look at the Paramatma. It enjoys everything by keeping aside the Paramatma. So this whole world, everything belongs to, when that knowledge arises within the mind of the Jivatma, that everything, this whole world belongs to Mahadeva. Isha-vasyam idagam sarvam yat kincha jagatyam jagat tena tyaktena bunjita magrudah kasyas viddanam. All animate and inanimate things are under the control of Mahadeva, and everything in this world should be utilized in the service of Mahadeva. When that knowledge arises, Shvetashvatara Upanishad says, when that knowledge arises within the Jivatma, all the bonds are cut. Sarva Pashaihi. Pasham is the bondage that you have. What is that bondage? The Jivatma keeps taking repeated cycles of birth and death. There is no end to it. Tamevam vidvan amrita ikabhavati nanyak panta ayanaya vidyate. There is no end to it until it looks back to Mahadeva and Parashakti. They are my ultimate divine parents, and they are my ultimate source, and they are the indestructible, because Mahadeva alone is eternal. We discussed that. In the previous lectures also I have quoted various references where Indra, Brahma and Vishnu are also bound to destruction. Brahma, Vishnu, Indra, Monayo, Janma, Mrityu, Jaraditaha. Parvati Mata says, even Janma, Mrityu, Janma is birth, Mrityu is death, Jara is old age. So even, not just the individual souls, not just the souls that you see in this earth are bound by birth, old age, disease and death. Even the Devas like Indra, Brahma and Vishnu are bound by birth, old age, disease and death. Now, we saw the different various ways to attain him. And so the individual soul, as I discussed before, he has that ahankara within him. So that so he is bound by karma. Karma is like punya papa. Punya means virtue. Papa means sin. He is bound by that. Karma is that. And then ego is like ahankara. Everything belongs to me. Everything is my possession. You don't see that as belonging to the supreme reality. So that becomes true. When you start seeing everything as belonging to Mahadeva, then you cut the ego. Whereas when you think that everything is under your possession, everything is under your control, okay, fine, you can think that way, but it's only for a short time. It's not, you cannot eternally claim that it is under your control or it is your possession. And we see Mahadeva is the only personality to be meditated upon. And how to understand Mahadeva, Samba Shiva? And that's where our scriptures come into play. The scriptures are Vedas, Upanishads, Agamas, Smritis, Puranas and Itihasas. So in this we have the Shruti. Shruti and Smriti. The scriptures are classified into Shruti and Smriti. Shruti means something that is heard. Shravanam. Shravanam Kirtanam Shambhoho. Shravanam means hearing. So Shruti is something that is heard. Whereas Smriti is something that is remembered. So Shruti were written by the sages. Mahadeva himself revealed his tattva to the sages. And they heard it and then they wrote those Sanskrit verses. They wrote those verses, and that is what we have as Shruti. And Smriti is something that was remembered by the sages, and then they wrote that. That is what is Puranas. And the Vedas and Upanishads. Upanishads are also called as Vedanta. Veda Anta. The end of the Vedas are the Upanishads, and we have the Vedas. And we have classifications within the Vedas also, like Brahmanas, Aranyakas, mantras, and then the Jnana part of it. And the Jnana also along with Bhakti. So the Vedas and Upanishads are the Shruti, which was heard directly from the Paratattvam, Samba Shiva and Parashakti, and then it was revealed by them, and then the sages wrote them. And in Agamas, Agamas are what we receive directly from the mouth of Mahadeva. Vedas come from the breath of Mahadeva, whereas Agamas come from the mouth of Mahadeva. We have, and talking about the Vedas, we have the 4 Vedas: Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Sama Veda, and Atharvana Veda. Now, in Rig Vedam, so like it is described, Sapta Kotishu Mantreshu Mantraha Panchaksharo Mahan Brahma Vishnavadi Deveshu Yata Shambhur Mahattaraha. This verse is present in the Shiva Mahapurana and also in Siddhanta Shikamani, quoted by Jagadguru Renukacharya. It is described that in the Vedas there are 7 crore mantras actually. 7 crore mantras are there. In that 7 crore mantras, the foremost of all is Namah Shivaya. Namah Shivaya. Panchakshara. Pancha Akshara. 5 aksharas are there. Ma Shivaya. Namah Shivaya is the exalted mantra of all the mantras. Just like the Namah Shivaya, Panchakshara mantra is the exalted mantra of all the mantras within the Vedas. Mahadeva is the greatest of all deities. Even Brahma and Vishnu cannot equal him. Mahadeva is the supreme reality. Mahadeva is the supreme God. That's what it says. So, there are 7 crore mantras. But now, because of Kali Yuga, the yugas are classified into 4 yugas: Satya, Treta, Dwapara, and Kali. Satya Yuga, it is described that the scale of Dharma was 4 out of 4. Everything will be well organized. Everything was well organized in Satya Yuga, back in Satya Yuga. Treta Yuga, the scale of Dharma was 3 out of 4. There is 1 reduction. And then it is 2 out of 4 in Dwapara Yuga. In Kali Yuga, it is 1 out of 4. And that's why the availability of the Vedas are also less. We don't have all the 7 crore mantras in the Vedas that is available to us. Only 20,379 mantras are available. In Rig Vedam, 10,552 mantras are available. In Sama Vedam, 1,875 mantras are available. In Yajur Vedam, 1,976 mantras are available. In Atharvana Vedam, 5,977 mantras are available. Together, in Kali Yuga, we just have in the Vedas 20,379 mantras. That's all. That is what is available. So, the knowledge, the focus also in Kali Yuga is more on other things, as we discussed, in name, fame, wealth, knowledge, beauty, and power, and not in knowing about God. So, the knowledge also reduces. And Upanishads, we have many Upanishads, but only some Upanishads in this Kali Yuga. Some Upanishads are authentic. People talk about the 108 Upanishads, but unfortunately not all 108 Upanishads are authentic. Some are cooked up Upanishads. Some are later day Upanishads only. Only some 35 to 40 Upanishads are authentic. We can run through them in the coming classes. So that forms the crux of the entire Vedas, because the Jnana part, it teaches about that Bhakti and Jnana part. The Upanishads talk about, it describes the supreme reality. It describes the features of the Supreme Reality. How the Supreme, what is the identity of the Supreme? Uma Sahayam Parameshwaram Prabham Trilochanam Neelakantam Prashantam Dhyatva Munirgacchati Bhutayonam Samasta Saksham Tamasak Parasta. Kaivalya Upanishad states. That Supreme Reality is eternally with that Parashakti who is called as Uma or Ambika. And then he is also three-eyed, Trilochanam, and Neelakantam. He is described as dark-necked. And Mahadeva, after drinking the halahala poison, he became blue-necked or blue-throated. That's why Neelagriva Shidikanta. Neelagriva Shidikanta Sharva Adaha Kshamachara. It comes Neelagriva. Name comes 6 times in Rudram. Shidikanta comes 3 times in Rudram. So Neelagriva, what does it mean? Neela, blue. Griva means neck. So, blue-necked Lord. That's how the Vedas glorify. Upanishads also glorify. And Hiranmayogam Shivarupamasmi. Hiranmaya Purushaha. Saya Esho Antarakritaya Akashaha. Hiranmaya Purushaha. Namo Hiranyabhagave Hiranyavarnaya Hiranyarupaya Hiranyapatage Ambikapatage Umapatage Pashupatage Namo Namaha. That Supreme Reality is also described as golden. He has a golden effulgence coming out of his body. Hiranmayena Patrena Satyasya Pihitam Mukam. That's how it is described. The Upanishads talk about who is the Supreme Reality in a hidden way. There are many more verses which I'll be quoting. And then we have this forms the Shruti part. Vedas and Upanishads form the Shruti part. And then Agamas. Under Agamas, we have many Agamas. We have Bauddha, Jaina, Hiranyagarbha, Vaishnava, Kaumara, Ganapatya, Shakta and Saura. So the Bauddha Agamas are the followers of Buddha, and the Jain Agamas are the followers of Mahavir Jain. Hiranyagarbha Agamas deal with how to attain Brahma. Ganapatya Agamas deal with how to attain Ganapati. And one should not get confused with Ganadipatyam and Ganapatyam. Ganapatyam means a follower of Ganapati, whereas Ganadipatyam means becoming the leader of the Ganas. Atharvashiras ends by saying one who reads this Upanishad will attain the post of Ganadipatya, which means the leader of the Ganas. He becomes the leader of the Ganas in Parakailasha and he gets the chance to serve eternally Mahadeva. So Ganadipatyam is different, Ganapatyam is different. Sauram, because people get confused sometimes, so I just want to explain in detail. Sauram means the followers of Surya. Vaishnavam, the followers of Vishnu. And Shaktam means Shakta Agamas. We have followers of Shakti. And then Kaumaram, the followers of Kartikeya. And then finally Shaivam, the followers of Shiva. Now all these Agamas are ultimately given by Mahadeva only. So we see why he gives all these Agamas when he is the essence of everything. Why he talks about other gods, attaining other gods like Brahma, Vishnu, Ganapati, Kartikeya. Why he talks about them is that because every jiva cannot have the understanding. It doesn't have the capability of understanding Mahadeva. So that's why he says, okay, but Mahadeva is Karuna Sagara. He says, Gyagena Kinchit Govinda, Nanamasyeha Kinchana, Nopasye Kanchana Hare, Naja Pishyeha Kinchana. Oh, demigods, Brahma, Vishnu and Indra. Samba Shiva says that to Indra, Brahma and Vishnu. Oh, Devatas, I am not meditating on anybody. I am not worshipping anybody. I am not waiting on anybody. I am not chanting the mantra of anybody. But I act as if I am doing these things for the welfare of the world. Every jiva, see, Mahadeva is Karuna Sagara. He doesn't want other jivas to take up atheism. At least there should be some concept of God, belief in God. And that's why he gives all these agamas so that the jiva, it is described also in the Shastras, the jiva who takes up to Ganapatyam, after practicing that path for many, many births, it will come to the fold of Shaivism. And then likewise, a person who takes up to Vaishnavism or Pancharatram, after taking many, many births, it will come to the fold of Shaivism. The same with Kaumaram or Shaktam. Ultimately, the Shaiva Agamas alone align completely with the Vedas. There is a beautiful mantra in the Karana Agama. I'll get to that, but after explaining our scriptures. And then this is the we saw the Shruti part, and then this is the agamic part, and then coming to the Smritis. There are various Smritis available: Ashvalayana Smriti, Jabala Smriti, Yoga Yajnavalkya Smriti, Vishwamitra Smriti, Shatatapa Smriti, Atri Smriti, given by great sages. And these things are remembered. After the sages, actually, after remembering, they recount these things by writing them. They remember the pastimes of Mahadeva and write them. And then we have the Puranas and Upapuranas. We have 18 Puranas and 18 Upapuranas. And then there are also Sthala Puranas available. This recounts the glories of Mahadeva. Mostly every Purana talks about the glories of Mahadeva. There are glories of Parashakti also. Of course, Parashakti and Paramashiva are equally glorified. And then we have glories of Ganapati, Kartikeya, Brahma, Vishnu and Indra also. But Mahadeva is the essence of everything. And then we have the Itihasas, that is Valmiki Ramayanam and Mahabharatam and Harivamsha Puranam, which is an extension to Mahabharatam. So this is what is our scriptures. Vedas, Upanishads, Agamas, Smritis, Puranas and Itihasas. And now coming to how actually the Shaiva Agamas align completely with what the Vedas say. Shaiva Agamas alone, the 28 Agamas that Mahadeva gives, completely aligns with the Veda. Other parts like Ganapatyam or Pancharatram or Kaumaram, only portions of the Veda, they agree only with the portions of the Veda. But the Shaiva Agamas alone completely aligns with the Veda. In Shaiva Agamas, there is a beautiful verse in Karana Agama, chapter 1, verse 9. Atyashramam Pashupatam Shampavam Tatshirovratam Ityevam Namabih Punyai Nigamanteshu Giyate. Agamas are come from the mouth of Mahadeva. We discussed that. Nigama is the Veda. Nigamas come from the breath of Mahadeva. And Mahadeva explains to Parashakti, oh dear Parashakti, there are 4 vratams described. Now vratam in general means fasting. People do fasting, asking for some material things, right? From God, Mahadeva. I do this, I do that. Okay, you have to give me this in return. True love and true devotion to Mahadeva, there should not be any expectation. So, Ityevam, he describes, there are 4 names described in the Upanishads or the Vedas, which talk about how to attain. There are 4 names described in the Vedas: Atyashramam, Pashupatam, Shambhavam, Shirovratam. These 4 names are synonymous, oh dear Parashakti, and they talk about how to attain me. That's what Mahadeva says. And the Upanishads completely talk about these 4 names only. Shvetashpatara Upanishad and Kaivalya Upanishad talks about Atyashrama Vratam. And then Bhasmajabala Upanishad and Kalagni Rudra Upanishad talks about Shambhava Vratam. And then Mundaka Upanishad, the second last verse of Mundaka Upanishad talks about Shiro Vratam. And then finally, Mahapashupata Vratam is spoken of in the Atharvashiras Upanishad, which I will be touching tomorrow. So, these are the, if you see, it's kind of synonymous. I explained. What are these actually? What does this mean actually? Atyashramam, Pashupatam, Shambhavam, Shirovratam. All these are synonymous, but what does it mean? It describes that one should embellish or decorate his body with his or her body with the holy ashes. And our Agamas describe that one should apply the ashes in 32 places on one's body. Makuta Agama describes that. And then one should also decorate one's forehead with the holy ashes. And then wear the Rudraksha Mala. Do Shivalinga Upasana. Meditate on and also having a Shivalinga and also having a Shiva Vigraha, because he is Saguna Brahmam. He has a beautiful form. His form alone is eternal. His form is completely spiritual, indestructible. Namah Shivabhyam, Navayavvanabhyam, Parasparaslishtha Vapurtarabhyam, Nagendra Kanya, Vrishaketanabyam, Namo Namak Shankarah Parvatibhyam. He is the oldest of the oldest, Jyeshta. But generally in this material world, whenever we look at a person who is actually old, his like eyes and face and hands are completely shrunk, But Mahadeva, he is the oldest of the oldest. He doesn't have birth and he looks like a young person. Nava Yauvanam. Parashakti and Paramashiva are Yauvanam. They are looking like 5-year-old kids clinging and hugging together. So having a Shiva Vigraha and doing Abhishekam, having a Parashakti and Paramashiva Vigraha and doing Abhishekam, and also doing a Shiva Linga Upasana, and then meditating and following all the 9 folds of Bhakti as described in the Siddhanta Shikamani, meditating on Parashakti and Paramashiva, serving Shiva Bhaktas like servant. It's very, very important to serve Shiva Bhaktas. Only by serving Shiva Bhaktas, you get Shiva Bhakti. So that is what these characteristics, these are the characteristics and qualities that are mentioned for these 4 names in the Shastras. Shirovratam is explained in Devi Bhagavata Mahapurana, 11th chapter, 11th canto, 12th chapter by Vishnu to Narada Muni. Vishnu says the fact that the forehead has been created like this. We have a horizontal forehead, right? We don't have a vertical forehead. The fact that the forehead has been created like this is to apply the holy ashes. So when you apply, usually you can check, when you apply the 3 lines on your forehead, it completely fills your forehead, right? So and that is why Vishnu says the reason why Creator has created the forehead like this is to apply the 3 lines. Now, if you want to apply some other mark, for example, tilak, your forehead would have been perpendicular, right? But it is actually horizontal, and the reason it is created like this is to apply the holy ashes. And if you see different countries, we go to different countries. In China, usually people have small eyes, and in some places, in some countries, the nose is bigger, and the nose is actually sometimes smaller in different countries. People have small noses, and people have small mouths and bigger mouths, but the forehead is the same. When you apply the 3 lines, it completely fills the forehead, and that's why Vishnu says it is very important to apply the Tripundra or Bhasma on the forehead. So and meditating, doing smaranam, meditating on the divine form of Parashakti and Paramashiva as described in the scriptures. Shuddha Spatika Sankasham Trinetram Panchavaktrakam. He is the oldest of the oldest and youngest of the youngest and greatest of the greatest and smallest of the smallest. Anoraniyan Mahato Mahiyan Atma Guhayam Nihitosya Jantoho. So that's how these 4 vratams are described. And these 4 vratams, it is also described by Vishnu. The Shiro Vratam this is what it means. This explanation that he gave, Vishnu gives to Narada about Shiro Vratam, applying ashes and wearing the Rudraksha, meditating on Parashakti and Paramashiva. This cannot be stolen. Shiro Vratam means this only. It cannot be stolen and it cannot be applied to meditating on another god or anything like that. So this is what it means. So our Upanishads talk only about these 4 vratams and how Shaivism alone completely aligns with what the Vedanta says and Agamas say and Smritis say. We see that. And then moving on, in Karana Agama chapter 8 verse 4. So we saw many things about the importance of human life and who is God ultimately and how to attain Him. There are many paths, and let's talk about one of the very important suktams in the Vedas. We saw Veda is the final word. We'll be seeing that in Karana Agama chapter 8 verse 4. It describes Vidyasu Shruti Rutkrishta Rudra Ekadashini Shrutau Tatra Panchaksharas Tatra Shiva Iti Aksharadvayam. Vidyasu Shruti Rutkrishta Rudra Ekadashini Shrutau Tatra Panchaksharas Tatra Shiva Iti Aksharadvayam. It describes Vidya of all the knowledges. We are behind material knowledge. Material knowledge is temporary. We saw that. The highest knowledge is the knowledge of Mahadeva. Nasti kinchit Shiva Jnanam. Shiva Jnanam is the highest of all. And of all the knowledges, it describes the Shruti is the best. That is the Vedas and Upanishads are the highest of all. The highest of among the studies. And then Rudra Ekadashini Shrutau. And in the Vedas, we have the Rudram, which is in the center, Madhyama of all the Vedas. And I was saying, one might wonder, there are 7 crore mantras, and we have only 20,000 mantras available. So even if we engage in reading all the 20,000 mantras, we will not reach that benefit of reading the 7 crore mantras. Those mantras are not available to us in this Kali Yuga. One might wonder like that. But there is a beautiful verse in Skanda Purana where Parashakti and Paramashiva shares to Parashakti that, but just by reciting the Rudram, which is at the center of the Vedas, one gets the benefit of chanting all the 7 crore mantras. If you want to play something that is valuable, if you have a very costly gem and value which is very valuable, and you will place it in a very secret place, right? Likewise, that Panchakshara mantra, that Rudram, is in the heart of the Vedas, is in the Madhyama of the Vedas. And I have described that. I have given a 3-minute video in my channel. One who wants to refer that can refer that. It is our Vedas like Rig, Yajur, Sama, Atharvana. In Yajur we have 2, Krishna Yajurvedam and Shukla Yajurvedam. So the one that comes in the middle is Krishna Yajurvedam. So it's like Rig Vedam, Shukla Yajurvedam, Krishna Yajurvedam, Sama Vedam and Atharvana Vedam. The one that comes in the middle is Krishna Yajurvedam. Within that Krishna Yajurvedam is the Rudram, which is the heart. Taittiriya Samhita, and within the Taittiriya Samhita is Rudram, which is the heart of the Vedas. So that's why Rudra Ekadashini Shrutau. Tatra Panchaksharas Tatra. It describes, it doesn't stop there. But within that Rudram, the most exalted is the Panchakshara mantra. Within the Rudram, the center of the Rudram is Nama Shivaya, the Maha mantra, which liberates you from all the sins that you have done for crores and crores of births, and also you become fit for attaining the feet of Mahadeva, which is actually liberation. And the 2 letters Shiva is the center of the Panchakshara mantra. Namah Shivaya. Shiva is the center of that Panchakshara mantra. So just by chanting Shiva Shiva, Mahadeva is ready to give the post of Indra, Brahma and Vishnu. Shiva Shiva Yangila Devamamava. Tirumular says in Tirumandiram, one can even attain the post of Indra, Brahma and Vishnu by chanting Shiva Shiva. But a true Shiva Bhakta is not interested in attaining the post of any Devata, because those are all ephemeral. We see that Brahmatvam, Keshavatvam, Shakratvam, Upamanyu Maharshi says, my Mahadeva, he can give the post of Indra, Brahma and Vishnu, but I am not interested in that. He says that in Anushasana Parvam, 18th chapter, 64th verse. And in Varaha Puranam, 213th chapter, 52nd verse, Nandi says, Mahadeva comes and appears in front of Nandi. Oh Nandi, whatever you want you can ask. Brahmatvam, Lokapalatvam, Shakratvam. Do you want women? Or do you want Aishwarya? Do you want Ashtasiddhi? Do you want to become a king on the earth? Do you want to become Indra? Do you want to become Brahma? Do you want to become Vishnu? He will give all these things. And also he will ask, give the chance of, okay, do you want liberation also? Apavargaha. And Nandishvara says, I don't want any of these things. He doesn't ask for liberation also. He's not interested in liberation also. Liberation is when Mahadeva knows whether you are destined to get liberation or not. So it is not, we Jiva should not ask. We should ask only for unflinching devotion to Mahadeva. And Nandi says, I don't want anything else, Mahadeva. I don't want these things. These things are temporary. What am I going to do by becoming Indra, Brahma and Vishnu? Again, I will have to go into the repeated cycles. Again, I have to be born in that 8.4 million species again. So I am not interested. So I just need unflinching devotion to your feet. Give me that boon, he says. Give me that boon where I'll worship only you and not anyone else. Shiva Ekodhyayaha, the greatest example of Shiva Ekodhyayaha is Nandishvara and Upamanyu Maharshi. The same with Andhaka. Andhakasura says the same thing. And he becomes Bringi, he attains the Sarupyam of Mahadeva. And we'll be seeing what is moksha and the different kinds of moksha that are explained in the Shastras. Now, we saw that Shiva is the center of the Panchakshara mantra, and Shiva is the greatest of all. So like Shruti is the best among the studies, and then of the Veda, among the Vedas, the Veda is the highest knowledge, and within the Vedas you have the Rudram. Chanting of Rudram is the highest, and within the Rudram you have the Panchakshara mantra, and within the Panchakshara mantra that Shiva Namam alone is enough to liberate one. That's what it says. And coming to liberation, moksha, the jiva is completely caught up in the repeated cycles of birth and death, right? Pashu, Pati, and Pasham. It is described. Pashu is the jiva, jivatma. We are the jivas. From the blade of a grass till Vishnu. Asyaivananda koshena stambanta Vishnu purvakaha. Katarudropanishad, verse 29. From the blade of a grass till Vishnu, everything are jivatmas and everything are bound to destruction. And Pashu is the description of Pashu. And Pati, Pati in general means husband, and also it means Lord. So the Lord of all from the blade of a grass till Vishnu is actually Mahadeva and Parashakti. And Parashakti is the consort of Mahadeva. She is inseparable. And how important is Parashakti's grace? We saw that in the previous lecture. It's very, very important to attain the lotus feet of Mahadeva. And then Pasham, the bondage. We are completely tied to this samsara. We are completely tied to this repeated cycles of birth and death. We are repeatedly taking births and deaths, and there is no end to it. That is that Pasham. Now, how to get rid of the Pasham? When the Pashu when the Pashu ignores all the temporary things, it realizes, when the Pashu realizes all these things are temporary, this world is also temporary. When the Pashu starts looking at that Pati, Paramashiva, it has started his journey towards attaining Mahadeva. Yeah. So that's when Mahadeva himself, Mahadeva we described how he is present in the heart of all the living entities. Sarvovai Rudraha, he is present everywhere. That Mahadeva who is present everywhere, that Mahadeva in that Parakailasha who is present everywhere is also present in the heart of all the living entities. Kad Rudraya Prachetase Medushtamaya Tavyase Vochema Shantamagam Hriday Ishanak Sarva Vidyanam Ishwarak Sarva Bhutanam Dakhram Vipapam Parame Eshpabhutam Yat Pundarikam Puramadhya Sagumstam Shambhurakasha Madhye Saya Esho Antar Hridaya Akashaha Hiranmaya Purushaha. So many places in the Vedas it describes that how Mahadeva is described in the is described as residing in the heart. Kritpundarikam Virajam Vishuddham. And also it is described that where he is residing, it is also described. It is described Ado Nishtyavidasyante Nabhyam Uparitishtati. He is described as below the larynx, that is the neck, and also above the nabhya, that is navel. He is residing there. And how he is there? He is also described as Jwalamala Kulambati Vishwasyayatanam Mahatam. Jwalamala. He came as Jwalagni. When Brahma and Vishnu were fighting on supremacy, Brahma said, I am the supreme, I am the Lord of the entire universe. Vishnu said, I am the supreme. Both were fighting together. And Shivaratri is going to come. That was the day when Mahadeva showed his supreme divine form to both Brahma and Vishnu and destroyed the ahankara of both Brahma and Vishnu. And then both were fighting together. And then Mahadeva appears in the size of a span. Angushta Purushontaratma Sadajananam Hridaye Sannivishtaha. He is described as in the size of a thumb. When we do thumbs up, we see that. When we do thumbs up, it is exactly with our hand. If we notice, it is exactly like a Shiva Linga. That thumb is actually the Shiva and the bottom part is Parashakti. This is how, in this form, he is present in the heart. We see how all the Devatas meditate on Parashakti and Paramashiva in their hearts, including Brahma, Vishnu and Indra. That Mahadeva is present in the size of a thumb. So he appeared in the size of a thumb in front of Brahma and Vishnu, and then he increased in size. Agnistamba, Jwalamala. He came as an Agnistamba, a mass of fire, refulgence of fire. And then he was completely infinite. And Brahma took the form of a swan and went in search of the head of Mahadeva. Vishnu took the form of a pig. Brahmana Hamsarupena Vishnuna Krodarupina Anirdeshya Mahalinga Murtaye Jyotishe Namaha. It describes both were searching for the beginning and end of Mahadeva, and both were not able to find, and both surrendered to Mahadeva, and then they realized, okay, fine, this Agnistambha is the source of all the entire worlds, and also all the entire universes, and crores of Brahma and Vishnu are created from this Agnistambha. And who is the personality who is behind this Agnistambha? And Mahadeva appears in the beautiful form Shuddha Spatika Sankasham Trinetram Panchavaktakam Gangadaram Dashabhujam Sarvabharana Pushitam Hiranmaya Purushaha Uma Sahayam Parameshwaram Prabhum. He appears in that five-faced form Sadyojata, Vamadeva, Agora, Tatpurusha, Ishana, and then he is having 10 hands. We also saw how actually this form is explained everywhere in the Shastras, in the Vedas and Upanishads. This form of Mahadeva is the highest form. And of course, we have other forms also, Sundareshwara. It doesn't limit. Mahadeva's forms are not limited. Other forms are also there, but this form specifically is glorified in the Shastras to a greater extent. And then Parashakti is sitting on the lap of Paramashiva, and both are blessing Brahma and Narayana. Brahma and Narayana, they do Sashtanga Namaskara to Parashakti and Paramashiva. What is Sashtanga Namaskara? Your legs, your body, and your head, and then your hands, all four are touching the ground. That is Sashtanga Namaskara. And then they ask forgival from Mahadeva. And Mahadeva says, Purvasmai Vishnave Tattva. He says, to a previous Brahma and Vishnu I gave my knowledge, but in course of time it has been forgotten. This also proves that Brahma, Vishnu also keep changing. There is no eternality even for Brahma and Vishnu. And so this is how Mahadeva destroys the Ahankara. He is also present in the size of a span. He knows everything. He is present as the Sarvasakshi, or the true witness. So when the Pashu decides to travel towards the Pati, Mahadeva knows that, and Mahadeva himself will send a proper authorized guru from a proper Shaiva Sampradaya. And and he will take back the Pati. The Mahadeva will take back the Pashu along with him eternally. So Prayartanam should be done. Prayartanam means we have to work hard we have to do some kind of sadhana every day. 1,000 times of chanting of Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya cannot be chanted because it should be chanted after taking initiation, but Namah Shivaya can be chanted with the Rudraksha Mala. How the Vratams are described, Vatyashramam, Pashupatam, Shambhavam and Shirovratam. How we have to take up the Rudraksha Mala, which contains 108 beads. Chanting of 108 times Namah Shivaya, Namah Shivaya, Namah Shivaya, Namah Shivaya. Chanting 108 times is one round. And we have to do at least 1,000 times, which means 10 rounds. And 10 rounds of chanting, believe me or not, it takes only 20 minutes of your time. One round of chanting Namah Shivaya, which is 108 times, takes only 2 minutes. If you just chant Namah Shivaya, you don't want to chant in a very fast pace. Namah Shivaya, Namah Shivaya, Namah Shivaya, Namah Shivaya. No. Namah Shivaya, Namah Shivaya, Namah Shivaya, Namah Shivaya. 20 minutes of your time you can dedicate. And then remembering on Parashakti, the divine qualities of Mahadeva, that form of Mahadeva along with Parashakti. Very, very important. So this is the way. And talking about liberation, I was talking about liberation, right? So different kinds of liberation are there. Salokya means attaining the loka of Mahadeva. Samipya means attaining the close proximity. Getting closer to Mahadeva in Parakailasha. Parakailasha, you go back, and then after that, there are many ganas who are serving Mahadeva. How to attain close proximity? By yearning and longing for him. And Samipyam is attaining closer proximity with Mahadeva and Parashakti. And then Sarupya, attaining his form. We saw that even after you attain his form, you still remain as his dasa, as his servant. And then Sarshti means attaining his opulences, attaining all his opulences. And then Sanidhya, being eternally at his feet, lotus feet, like Manikavasigar. Everybody aspired to place that feet. Oh, Mahadeva, I want to place that. I want that feet of yours to be placed on my head. That feet even Brahma and Vishnu are searching for. And then finally, Sayujya. Sayujya is misinterpreted by many people. Sayujyam is not merging. Sayujyam is being in the eternal company of Mahadeva. It is just like an ocean is there and all the fishes are there in the ocean, right? All the fishes are there. We are like the fishes. We are a part of the ocean, but still we cannot claim that we are the ocean. That ocean is like Mahadeva and we are that fishes enjoying that Parakailasha along with Mahadeva. Adding Mahadeva to your life. No one is asking anyone to become a recluse or a sannyasa. No. Adding Parashakti and Paramashiva as a part and parcel, as a part of your life. And also getting that knowledge that everything belongs to him. And it is very easy to attain moksha in that way. So these are the things. And Sayujyam, as I said before, it is being in the eternal company of Mahadeva. The Jivatma is always separate from Paramatma. Always the Jivatma is dependent on the Paramatma. There is not even a single time when the Jivatma was independent. And because we think that we are independent, and that's why we are taking repeated cycles of birth and death. When we come to the conclusion that our Pati is Mahadeva and we have to look back to him, that's when we start our true spiritual journey. So that's about moksha. And finally, regarding the spiritual worlds, so there are various worlds available. We are in the Bhumandala, Bhuloka. Now below this, you have Atala, Vitala, Sutala, Talatala, Rasatala, Mahatala, Patala. All these worlds are available. 7 worlds are available below this Bhumandala. And we have this Bhulokam. Beyond this Bhuloka, there are 7 worlds also. Bhuvaha, Suvaha, Mahaha, Janaha, Tapaha, Satyam. Satyam is Brahmalokan. Beyond that is Vaikuntham or Vishnu Lokam. All these worlds are material. And beyond that is actually, beyond Vaikuntham is where the spiritual worlds start. Apara Kailasha and Para Kailasha. Apara Kailasha, within Apara Kailasha there are many worlds. Like Skanda Lokam, Devi Lokam. And beyond that is Para Kailasha or Shiva Lokam, which is the highest of the highest. There is nothing that is greater than that Shiva Lokam or equal to Shiva Lokam. Where Parashakti and Paramashiva eternally reside. They are in Nava Yavvanam. It describes, all the Puranas describe the form of Parashakti and Paramashiva, how beautiful they are and how the Jivas, they go back, after they go back, they eternally enjoy with Mahadeva. There is no Nachapunara Vartate, Nachapunara Vartate, Anavrittish Shabdat, Anavrittish Shabdat. There is no coming back, there is no coming back. After you reach Mahadeva, there is no, you will never get back into the repeated cycles of birth and death after attaining Parashakti and Mahadeva. So that's how it is. And whereas one who goes back to Indra, or people have the notions of going back to Swarga. I want to go back to Vishnu and Brahma. But even if you go back there, we saw the situation of Vaikuntha in the last class, right? All the Vaikuntha Vasis were in trouble. When with the Halahala poison, Vishnu turned black because of that. Brahma was affected, Indra was affected. Like that, all the lokams, even if you go back, you have to return. And there are many pramanams also how, where the jivas, after going back to Brahma, Vishnu and Indra Loka, they had to take birth again. And we can see that in the next class on how actually they had to finally seek the feet of Mahadeva to get completely liberated. To get completely liberated from the repeated cycles of birth and death. So this is about a short description of about why human life and who is God and how to attain him, the different paths to attain him, the importance of Rudram and Shivanamam. And finally, one thing is that I'll be touching upon, we discussed about the Upanishads, right? One of the very famous Upanishads is the Atharva Shiras Upanishad. It talks about different names for Mahadeva. That Mahadeva alone is the supreme reality. Mahadeva's expansions are Brahma, Vishnu, Indra, Skanda, Ganapati, and all the other devas are expansions of the divine Mahadeva. And different names like Rudra, Omkareshwara, Ishana, Mahadeva, and Bhagavan, all these names are described. And the Atharva Shiras is given by Atharvana Maharshi. He assigns this name and also he gives the meaning of that name. Why Mahadeva is described as Bhagavan? Why Mahadeva is described as Maheshwara? Why Mahadeva is described as Mahadeva? Very beautiful. And so I'll be touching upon that Upanishad, which is one of the very famous Upanishads, which talks about Mahapashupata Vratam. We discussed that. Atharvashiras and Bhasmajabala talks about the Mahapashupata Vratam, and we'll be running over the Upanishads. I mean, you have to understand everything from that Upanishad standpoint. One thing that I forgot to say is that the Shruti and Smriti, right? I mentioned about that. Some people, they blindly take up Shruti and they do not depend on the Smriti. Some people, some traditions, they completely depend on the Smriti. Whereas our Shaiva Acharyas, very beautifully, they have depended both on the Shruti and Smriti. Shruti is the final word. Veda is the final word, no doubt about that. But when you want to understand the Veda, you have to depend on the Smriti. And when the Smriti contradicts the Shruti, you have to reject that portion of the Smriti. That's what it says. And we see how actually Shrutis talk about only about Bhasmadharanam, being Vedoktam and Vaidikam. If someone says, okay, Bhasmadharanam is not right, or Vibhuti and Rudraksha is not right actually, then we can showcase these references. When these kind of references are there, those kind of things should be rejected in the Smriti because they are contradicting with what the Vedas say. Our Vedas talk about only 4 Vratams, and Bhasmadharanam and Rudrakshadharanam and Tripundram is Vedoktam and Vaidikam. This is how you have to understand. So, our Shaiva Acharyas have depended both on the Shruti and the Smriti. You have to understand the Shruti with the help of the Smriti. Atharvashiras is one example where I'll be quoting various Upabrahmanams. Upabrahmanam, again, just like I mentioned, we can understand the Shruti with the help of the Smriti. So for that we need a supporting fact from the Puranas. And I'll be quoting the Upabrahmanams, many Upabrahmanams stated for the Atharvashiras Upanishad. The same thing with Shvetashpatara Upanishad. Nowadays, people misinterpret the Shvetashpatara Upanishad, describing it to be glorifying another god. No, it is glorifying the one and only Mahadeva. Shvetashpatara Upanishad is given by Shvetashpatara Maharshi, just like Atharvashiras Upanishad is given by Atharvana Maharshi. Shvetashpatara Maharshi is described as a practicer of Atyashrama or Mahapashupata Vrata. He was a Mahapashupata Vratin, meditating, applying ashes all over his body and standing on with hands raised upwards and with standing on one leg, meditating on Mahadeva in the center of the Surya, center of the sun. Adityam Bimba Madhyastam Raktamurtim Sadashivam Sauramandala Madhyastam Sambam Samsara Veshadam Nila Grivam Virupaksham Namami Shivam Avyayam. He is mentioned in the Saura Puranam, he is mentioned in the Kurma Puranam, he is mentioned in the Shiva Mahapuranam as a practicer of Atyashrama Vratin. He is never mentioned as a devotee of another Devata, Brahma, Vishnu or Indra. He is only described as a Shiva Bhakta. And likewise, that's how we have to understand the Upanishads. We cannot misinterpret by taking the etymological meaning and applying it to another god. That doesn't make sense. Moreover, 5 to 6 verses from Rudram come from Shvetashpatara Upanishad. 3 verses from Purusha Suktam come from the come in the Shvetashpatara Upanishad. So, Purusho Vai Rudraha, we saw that the ultimate reality is Mahadeva. Rudram is also only for Mahadeva. This is how you have to understand the Upanishads. So we'll be going across the chapter. So I would like to end this class, and in the next class we'll be going across a very beautiful chapter in Sutta Samhita. The very second chapter of Sutta Samhita in the first Kanda talks about the Upabrahmanam for Atharvashiras Upanishad, and I'll be quoting many other Upabrahmanams from many Puranas like Kurma Puranam, Padma Puranam, Saura Puranam, Linga Puranam, which describes Atharvashiras mantras are chanted only for Mahadeva by even Devatas like Brahma, Vishnu and Indra. So, with this I would like to end this class, and thank you for giving me this wonderful opportunity. I would like to chant the Kshama Prarthana mantra, and then we can take up some questions. Om Yadaksharapadabrishtam Matrahinam Tiyadbhavet Tatsarvam Shamyatam Deva Parameshwara Namostute Visargabindu Matrani Padapadaksharaani Cha Yunani Cha Tiriktani Kshamasva Parameshwara Aparada Sagasrani Kriyante Harnisham Maya Daso Yamiti Mamatva Kshamasva Parameshwara Anyata Sharanam Nasti Tvameva Sharanam Mama Tasmat Karanya Bhavena Raksha Raksha Maheshwari Anyata Sharanam Nasti Tvameva Sharanam Mama Tasmat Karanya Bhavena रक्ष रक्ष परमेश्वर एतत् सर्वं श्री उमा महेश्वर परब्रह्मार्पणमस्तु ललितांबिके सांब शिवार्पणमस्तु श्रीमती गौरी समेत सांब शिवार्पणमस्तु। करचरणकृतं वाक्कायजं कर्मजं वा श्रवणनयनजं वा मानसं वा अपराधं विहितम् अविहितं वा सर्वम् एतत् क्षमस्व। जय जय करुणा अब्दे श्री महादेव शम्भो। माता च पार्वती देवी पिता देवो महेश्वर बन्धवा शिवभक्तांश्च स्वदेशो भुवनत्रयं। साम्ब शिवाय नमः, साम्ब शिवाय नमः, साम्ब शिवाय नमः। हर ओं तत्सत्।